We're here today to talk about the Marianist Table. You know, sometimes we ask ourselves, how do you define Marianist? And what is special or unique about the Marianists? We will try to answer these questions by relating to the everyday experience of setting a table for a meal. Each of the items that go onto the table, and in fact the table itself, will have some special meaning. This table setting may stir up memories and meaning for you, so open your mind and use your imagination. The term family is frequently used to describe all those who live in a Marianist life, either as lay people or as sisters, brothers, or priests. The items we place on the table are symbols of how this family lives together. Like any family, our communities don't always live in the ideal state. The things we carry to the table represent who the Marianist family is and who the Marianist family strives to become.
At a round table, there is no head position. No one is seated in a place of honor simply because of a title or responsibility they have. All have equal status. The many ways that people choose to divide ourselves, whether that be race, gender, age, amount of money or education, or the type of Christian commitment we've made, those things have little importance here. Our conversations will determine who shares their stories as we share the meal together.
In the Marianist family, we acknowledge, celebrate, and honor the differences among us. But we don't give privilege to certain people just because of the role they have in the family. Of course, we need leadership and authority, and will depend on the unique talents of certain members. But our leadership and talent are used to serve others, not to gain anyone any special status. At the Marianist table, there will be room for many types of people, and all will be honored.
So now we bring a table decoration because it is fall and November. We have chosen to have a fall little decoration. You could have flowers instead, or just anything that is the center of your table. All of a sudden, the room feels different. It's more enjoyable to be here than it was before the flowers or the decoration was placed on the table. This decoration represents the hospitality which Marianists are known for. Creating a warm and welcoming environment is very important to the Marianist. The hospitality is not just about welcoming, but it is also about accepting and mixing the individual into the group. Next, we have the candles.
Before a special meal is an ancient tradition from the Jewish roots of Christianity. The mother lights the candles before the Seder meal. The act marks the start of the Sabbath, the holy time at the end of the week. The time where we set aside our busyness and stresses of life and allow time and space for the sacred.
Father Chaminade once said, "The essential is the interior." An important part of the Marianist tradition is to spend time within our interior, to reflect and to pray, to be silent so we can hear the voice of God. The founders of the Marianist table believe that the experience of community was in the best way to support people and their growth in Christ's life. Next, we have the napkins.
We expect that a mess will be made, and we prepare with ways to clean up. Perhaps some people will bite off more than they can chew. Haven't we all had times when we were a little clumsy and dropped something? Spills will happen, especially if we're not paying attention to what we're doing. Sometimes there needs to be a napkin to wipe away whatever spilled. Sometimes tears.
Next, we will talk about the forks, spoons, and knives.
Pieces of silverware are essential, tools that we need to be nourished. They represent the people in the family who bring very concrete skills to our family. These skills come in the form of natural talents or maybe training or education, and they are the tools we need to live together in community. And now we'll talk about the stack of dishes carried to the table.
The empty plates represent those who come to our family, anticipating the good things that will be served at the table. We look forward to the nourishment, and sometimes a feast. There are times, however, when we've seen someone come to the community carrying a full plate with no room to receive. On some occasions, we find among us a plate that's cracked or broken. It won't be able to hold the food until it's put back together. And there are also painful times when what we have served doesn't fill our hunger, so the person leaves.
Now we'll talk about the water glasses
As we pour water into each glass, we think about the mystery of water. It has no flavor, color, or shape. It is essential, though, to our life. The people who come to community are usually mysterious at first. Understanding each person and discerning the gifts he or she brings can be very challenging, like trying to hold water in our hands.
We are unaware of the difference that adding one droplet of water makes to a glass. But we do know everything moves around us as a result of the addition. Things tend to move around a bit in the community, especially as new people arrive. Finally, some food arrives. We carry in a tray containing golden, hearty loaf of bread.
As with all Christian communities, bread signifies Christ. We believe we meet Christ in one another. We feed one another with Christ's life. We attempt to fill the hungers we feel for meaning, for hope, for faith, for support, for prayer. We will serve one another the bread of life with this Marianist family. Some days we will eat the bread in joy, while other days we may eat the bread in sorrow. The community hopes to become what it has received, the bread of life. The next thing we have is the salt and pepper.
Salt and pepper can speak to us of Mary. She teaches us zeal and zest. Mary's zeal at the Annunciation poured out in a great yes to God's request. Despite the uncertainties of the consequences, Mary's zeal compels her to visit her cousin Elizabeth and sing out the song of the Magnificat. My soul proclaims the greatness of the Lord. Mary's zeal makes her courageous during the flight to Egypt, makes her resilient when the prophets predict of terrible sorrow, and makes her compassionate and bold at the wedding of Cana. Just as salt helps our bodies bear and retain water needed for life, Mary helps us bear and hold Christ in our hearts. The gospel tells us that if salt loses its flavor, it's not good for anything. The salt at our table reminds us of how vital Mary is to Christian life.
As you can see, there is still more room for chairs to join us at our table. This is not an oversight. It's a purposeful reminder that we build community. We form the Marianist family, not just for ourselves, but for the church and for the world. Like Mary, we bring God to the world with a passion for justice and mercy. When we take risks to shine our light in places where we haven't before, or speak of God's name to people who have felt alienated from the family of God, we contribute to building community. We don't sit at our table, so we remember not to linger too long. We must go out, other tables must be set.
Now that you've seen what goes into the Marianist table, we hope that you can come to our table at Fourth Night this upcoming Monday. Bring a friend.